This is week 76 of our weekly discussions, and we're going to talk about cause prioritization, which is a pretty distinctly effective altruist thing. And, you know, a lot of the time we talk about unpacking a cause area by its importance, its neglectedness, and its tractability. So importance, like how many people does it affect and how seriously does it affect them? Neglectedness, like are there actually people working on it? So can you actually maybe like move the needle a bit, or you just you know, adding to an overly populated solution set, or tractability, which is, I think, logically very much related. Like, can you actually have a tractable solution to this problem? But I think that helps you look at cause areas in general, like comparing animal welfare to comparing poverty and global development. And a lot of people, they use this ITN framework to decide what cause area in general they want to work on. But it doesn't help so much with like specific donation decisions. Let's say you have $4,000 or $5,000 and you want to donate that to do the most good. Well, how do you go about doing that? And what are the kinds of trade-offs that you're making when you do that? So we made this cause, like I spent one afternoon just making this cause prioritization quiz to compare different causes and to do that in the form of a quiz. And we can, at the end of the quiz, kind of compare our answers and see how everybody voted and talk about like why we voted the way we did. And I was telling Maddie, my wife, about this this afternoon, and I could like see like the glaze on her eyes, and she's probably thinking, JD, this is super nerdy. But I think this is like representative of actual trade-offs that people make when they donate. At least that's how someone in EA sees this. So I just want to help maybe add some structure for talking about it, rather than talking about big picture, like animal welfare writ large versus global poverty writ large. So that's kind of where we're coming from. And let me just share, two things. First, let me share a Google form, which is like your voting ballot. And then I'm going to share some slides that correspond to each question. So give me a minute here while I do that.
Full minute of waiting.
So there's the form. And then let me share some slides. Cool. Can everybody see that? Great. So we can get started with the quiz. And if you've been here before, the last one, we did one in January, you can take it again. You can also delete your former answers. So if you prefer not to have a double count, that's fine. You can delete them at the end. I'll give everybody editing permission at the end. But yeah, we'll get started. So you can take the quiz with me. Feel free to go ahead if I'm going too slow. But before we take the quiz, I want to ask you, like, when you think about doing good, when you think about donating to charity, what are the things that excite you most? Like, what gives you the biggest warm fuzzies? Is it like imagining somebody coming to Christ and like having a life-saving relationship with Jesus? Or maybe it's like saving a life. Maybe you get really pumped up or amped when you think about the ability that you have to prevent somebody's death. Or maybe it's like improving the condition of many animals, and like freeing chickens from cages and freeing pigs from sow crates, and just imagining them jumping around. Maybe you get excited about like abstract things, you know, maybe you get excited about the long-term future. So I'm curious how you think about that. That's more of like just a primer, because and then in these questions, we're going to look at various different cause areas, like what I mentioned. And here's our first question. So would you rather donate $4,500 or about 3,300 pounds to save one person from dying, or to give the same amount to fund 2 or 3 pastors to spread the gospel for a year in South or Southeast Asia? And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking like, well, is this preventing a death by providing vitamins, or is this like malaria nets? Is this funding pastors within a specific denomination or whatnot? And what are the likelihoods of these? I know these trade-offs are extremely complicated, so I'm just going to mention some sources here. For privacy reasons, I won't mention like the effective mission source, but yeah, this is regarding LiveSave. This is with Against Malaria Foundation, and these seem like moderate trade-offs that you would expect for the money. And if you're not so sure, that's fine. You can rate your level of confidence for that question in the attached part. Any questions so far before I move on to the next one? Good. So next question, would you rather donate the same amount of money to fund an EA university organizers ops for one semester, maybe doing about 10 hours a week, or give the same amount to fund those pastors for a year? All right, next question. Would you rather donate $4,500 for the university organizer, or save one person from dying? All right, move on. Would you rather donate to save a life, or move 54,000 chickens from cages to quote unquote cage-free ranges? And this is using animal charity evaluators estimate. This is on the lower end of their 90% confidence interval of what they expect a corporate cage campaign through Humane League to accomplish. And just a mention, like if you're moving from cages to cage-free, it's not like moving from complete hell to paradise. This is like not so uncommon for cage-free facilities for hens, but it is still an improvement from cages. So that's one human life to 54,000 chickens. Next question, would you rather donate $4,500 to abate CO2 emissions from 36 persons? That's like 4,500 tons, or free the chickens? And this is drawing on Founder Pledge's reviewed climate charities. This is specifically looking at, I believe, like Cool Earth and other orgs that lobby for climate legislation that has, like, I would say, somewhat conservative estimates of having this expected value. I don't think it's super marginal. Like, I don't think you can fund a lobby campaign for $4,500, but I think when you break it down, that's kind of what it comes down to. Next question, would you rather save one life or abate the CO2 emissions? Next question, would you rather save a life or double the income of about 7 people for, I believe this is for 1 year through Give Directly? And these are people living in extreme poverty, right? So Give Directly works with people who earn less than $2 a day. Next question, would you rather fund the EA Long-Term Future Fund and protect the future of the planet, or save one person from dying? And I think that's all of them, but I'd love to know if you have any other trade-offs you'd like us to consider. Here are some questions I'll post in the chat. I'd love to know which of these maybe you found surprising, especially once we share the quiz results. And then if we go to breakout rooms, I'd love to know, like, are there, I'd love if we could like name a question and then share how we voted for that, and then maybe share what would move us to change our mind about this. There's a lot of things that will come up. Maybe moral uncertainty will come up. Like, maybe we're not sure if animals are worth our moral consideration. And maybe there's theological reasons. I mean, there will very likely for all these be theological reasons behind them. There might also be factors of risk. So maybe we're comfortable with saving a life if it's like quite well established that by giving money to malaria nets, we can save a life. But maybe if it's something like freeing hens from cages, where there's some chance we can free lots of hens from cages for the money, but there's also a real chance that that money is just going to fund an ineffective campaign. We don't want to engage in that risk, even if like on an expected value basis, it might be really valuable. If you, I hope you follow me there. But that's dealing with moral luck and risky altruism. And then I'd love to hear any other thoughts you might have on charities that Christians in our community have given to. So just reviewing our survey that we released this year, a lot of Christians in our community still do give some to their local church. Some other common causes are just other give well causes like the SCI Foundation. Katie yesterday spoke about deworming, and she oversees about 60 million deworming treatments every single year with her monitoring and evaluation. Another talk yesterday was about effective mental health, and we have some people who've given to effective mental health charities like Strong Minds. There's some who give to EA for Christians. We're like, another meta EA infrastructure building org, if you will. And then Never Thirst, ULO, so many others. Bruce mentioned Wild Animal Initiative, so did Dustin.